between the posts. We are officially at the halfway mark of the year, so it's time to bring in the undefeated Kalan Knox. Welcome back, mate.
Always a pleasure with you, TJ.
Why are you undefeated? No, he's not an MMA fighter. He's fighting for the mighty Lions in Colonel Light. 9-0. How'd you go yesterday?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I think a 200-point win, so as you do. So
37-goal win, and how many did you kick?
A big fat donor.
Well done, mate.
I reckon, TJ. I had a shot from about 5 metres out and missed. So
I even heard that you played so wide on your wing you were able to commentate one of the Div 1 games. So that's the joke doing the rounds at the moment. So, of course, we've got a big show. Now, Team of the Half Year is coming up. It will be released during the week, so look out for that one, mate. We've got lots of great segments. Now, you're here, so obviously we're having a bit of a deep dive through Division 4. No doubt all your fans, you had a lot of fans, will be up and about again. What else have we got on the show, mate?
We've got What Caught Our Eye, always a spectacular segment, and also the goals and the marks of the week.
Yeah, it's our most popular segment, no doubt about it. I'll be doing my Division 1 report. Bec Northcott will be doing her women's report. All that and so much more. Stay tuned for more Between the Posts. Division 1 wrap time, and boy oh boy, it just keeps happening. 10th and 9th place have beaten 3rd and 4th place. If you want a competition with uncertainty, excitement, Division 1 is the place to be. Let's have a look at some of the games. Let's start with our Stream Team game. It was at Brighton Oval. It was the Brighton Bombers taking on the Broady Tigers. Brighton 6-14-50, the Tigers too good at 9-14-68. Back from Crow's duty, that man they call Wazza. Number 23, Sam Daniele, was the star of the show for Broadview in what was labelled by Adam Jeffries an awakening for defensive football and structures. He feels like they just may have turned the corner, and the Broadview we've been waiting for all year may have been unleashed. Primary goal kickers, Will Rivers for Brighton kicked 2. He was the best forward on the day and just continues a wonderfully consistent season. Whilst for Broadies, it was the Bozza, Smith and Mulholland, all with 2 goals apiece. Award-winning time, they're everywhere. The best team player of the day was that man, Jack Fergus, the Neo North mouthguard. Player of the day was Cam Mulholland, whilst the winner of all the other awards for best on ground was that Sam Daniele. Just for Brighton, Otis Carthy, he just continues to chalk up a super consistent season, the captain there, gives his all, and Stevie Jackson was represented at the club as their best player, they thought. But let's look at the awards for the Player of the Year. It was Jack Fergus from Broadview with 1 vote, Jack Plenty from Brighton with 2 votes, and Sam Daniele with the best on-field display. Adam Jeffries and the great man Phil Herden suggested it was an arm wrestle. It was Broadview's first half efficiency. Again, Brighton kicking 3-11. When they're inaccurate, they tend not to win. Broadview just found a way to hit the scoreboard, and they looked like a Division 1 strong unit. Again, we've been waiting for it to happen. They've shown patches, but it was a real grind, and maybe sometimes it's the grind that you have to have. So well done to Broadies. A game they had to win away from home, and they move out of the perhaps relegation discussion and into the finals discussion in a comp that is so tight, you just can't even blink. All right, let's look at our next game, and spoke to Coach Nathan Grimer after this one. He was absolutely wrapped with his team's 4-quarter performance. It was the Glenunga Rams 14-12-96, PNU 6-8-44, and that one was at Payneham, a 52-point win. The big fella, Geordie West, number 36 in ruck, continues a great year and is really pushing for some of those Team of the Year honours. He was best afield. The goal kickers, it was McMahon and Prosser, that dynamic duo up forward for Glenunga with 3 apiece, whilst the PNU, they couldn't find a forward to kick 2 goals, all single goal kickers. Glenunga kicked the first 3 goals of the game, and again, when they do that and they get a lead, they're such a strong, constricting team. It's very hard to arrest a lead back from them, but they led and increased their lead at every break, leading by 19, 21, 29 and 52. Better players for PNU, Dobson, Haynes, and a special shout out to Matty Nunn, who kicked a fantastic goal. For The Rams, obviously they all get in the votes. Tully Kennett back to form there, that dynamic midfielder, ex-Sturt player, very, very good. Whilst in the votes, Linky Bennett. Now, Lincoln Bennett got in the votes with 11 touches and 1 goal, but well deserved because he shut down Matty Nunn, who himself only had 11 touches and 1 goal. When you shut down arguably the best or second best player in the competition, it's a great job. Well done, Stinky Linky. 2 votes to Charlie Pridham. He continues a great year. He just finds the ball. He's a magnet. And Big Westy, best on ground. Glenunga undefeated. Who's going to stop him? Let's have a look at Spock and Port. Before this game, Spock sitting 10th, Port sitting 3rd. Don't worry, Port have had a week off. They'll come to life. They'll set this comp ablaze. That's what we all thought. Well, we were wrong. This Spock team is playing good, unified team footy, led by the Adonis, number 28, Johnny Vrodos in the middle. We've got a really nice midfield blend with Vrodos, Higgins, the Allens. It's really come together well for Coach Maiko Leary. 10 individual goal scorers for Spockies, whilst for Port, Batty kicked 3 and Carter kicked 2. We did have a Jag Meatworks snag of the day winner, and that was Henry Stewart Rattray. Well done to the boy from Scooby-Doo. And again, Spockies, well, it wasn't a fluke. They led by 2, 24, 17 and 7. A strange old day when 7 beats 3rd, but it was the 5-goal burst in the second quarter that our commentator said made the difference in the game. It's been a long time between drinks for Port. They started the season, as we expected to, but since in the last sort of month and a half, they really are struggling to find a win. How they hang on to 3rd still is beyond me, but again, only 1 game out of the relegation zone. One other contributing factor, and there's no doubt about it, as to why Spock have turned the quarter. You ask how, why, what, how do these things happen? I'll tell you how they happen. Jordan Lockwood's back. That's how they happen. Well done to Big Lockie. Votes. Well, I didn't do the votes, so Geordie just missed out on the votes. Teddy Newman for Spock, his last quarter heroics, crucial to them hanging on. Joey Haynes from Port continues to be a very attacking player even whilst playing defence, but that man, Johnny Vrodos, was the star. All right, on to our next game. Again, a huge upset. Golden Grove was sitting in 9th, taking on 4th place Tea Tree Gully, and they got the chocolates in an absolute ripper of a game. It was the Gullies 11-11-77, Golden Grove 12-7-79. The man we're going to have a look at is number 15, Wyatt Patterson. He kicked 5 goals, 16 disposals, 7 marks, 3 tackles in a clear best on ground display. Along with his 5, Slater kicked 3 for the Kookaburras, whilst Latham continued a very consistent season for the Gullies, kicking 3. We like to have a look at the stats in these games, and the stats probably don't tell too much of a tale. Disposals, 23, the difference to the good of the Grove. Hit-outs was one area Tea Tree Gully did control. Blake Penny continues an outstanding season, 53 hit-outs, of which he had 47 of them. But that didn't lead to much of a clearance disparity. It was only 4 clearances the difference. Marks, 9 the difference in favour of Golden Grove, but it was the contested marks, 15-10. Those contested marks are gold, absolute gold in the game of footy. So that may have been where, and in a game it's 2 points the difference, you wouldn't expect huge differences. And again, the final 2 stats just reflect that. Turnovers only 1 difference, and tackles 80-79 speaks to the pressure and intensity of both teams. It was muddy in the middle, which meant there was a lot of stoppages and a lot of hard, heavy work done. It was Golden Grove by 11, 4, 18 and 2. Tea Tree Gully were coming. They're coming. They're a good team when that midfield gets going. They did kick 4 goals in the last quarter, but not quite enough. So it's a huge win, and I've talked about this already. Golden Grove, like in previous weeks, Golden Grove, they're in the relegation discussion. They're in the finals discussion. It could come down to a round 18 game where you could be playing for saving relegation or playing finals. What an exciting competition we've got. Looking at the votes, Cody Tate, he led the way for Tea Tree Gully. He gets 1 vote. He had the most marks on the ground for any Gully player. I just want to give a mention to Big Ticky Penny as well. Not just 47 hitouts, but 23 touches, leading possession winner for the Gullies. Second best was Joshy Glenn. 16 touches, but he won at 100%. His efficiency was his weapon, and that man Patterson, best on ground. Other people that didn't get in the votes, just a quick mention as well. Louis Johnson's the best winger in the comp, 24, Cavallaro, 23. Great win for the Grove, one they needed. They finally pitch a close one. Look out, competition. You're on notice. The Cookers are coming. Our next one, Shock and PAC at the middle school. We thought this one might be a bit closer. No, the real Shock have awakened. 14-13-97, PAC 4-5-29. Carlotto and McAuliffe, the Chief Destroyers, on the scoreboard. It was Shock by 21, 32, 46 and 68. They aren't just, they're arguably equally the best defensive team in the league, but they find a way to get plenty of goals as well. Tommy McDermott was very good with Noble, whilst for PAC, McNamara and Sells were the standouts. But looking straight into the votes in this one, Benny Dewhurst with 1, Coach Colotto got the 2 votes, and that man Ethan Moore with 3 votes in a best on ground display. All right, that brings us up to our Roll the Dice Player of the Year. We're just going to have a quick look at that slide, and you can see that man, Abe Davis, he is on track. A beautiful footballer looking to go back to back with our Player of the Year. Where most of the interest comes from, though, is the ladder. There are some unique statistical anomalies on this one. So, there's 2 wins between 3rd and 10th, 1 win between 4th and 9th. You just can't afford to drop games, you need to win them all. Glenunga 9-0, Shock 7-2 look the standouts and clearly the best defensive teams in the league. Then Port, Tea Tree Gully, PNU. None of those teams won, but all managed to somehow hold their spot in the 5. But here cometh the others. Broadies now have 4 wins. PAC 4 wins, Golden Grove 3 wins, Spock 3 wins. You could genuinely entertain that any of these teams could play finals. Brighton 2.5 wins, well, they just need a couple of good wins in a row and they're in the mix as well. What a great competition we've got there. Every game is crucial, so let's have a look at this one here. Port District, Pake on Broadies. Port still yet to win at home. I think maybe they get it done this week. But Broadies could quite easily win this one. Glenunga at home against Brighton. I'd suspect that Glenunga will be far too strong in that one. Our next game is an interesting one because it's 8th place Golden Grove hosting 5th place Payneham. If you want to talk about games with stuff on the line, Golden Grove win, they'll take Paynham's spot in the 5. Payneham lose, they could drop down to 8th. That is an incredible statistic. I think the Kookaburras might just get the chocolates. In our college battle, it's PAC versus Spock. 7th versus 9th, but the loser goes into the relegation zone. The winner starts to think about what could potentially happen in September. And our last game, Tea Tree Gully versus Shock. These games are always really good contests. I just think Shock are travelling a little better at this stage. This has been the Division 1 report. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week.
Get a quick and easy low-rate car loan from Police Credit Union today.
It's time to talk about women's footy with the Adelaide Footy League Division 1 Women's Wrap, as well as a little bit about what's going on across the division. I'm Bec Northcott and it's time to talk about round 9, and there is so much going on, we've got to get straight into it. So the first match of the round in Division 1 was Golden Grove taking on Payneham at Golden Grove. Now we've seen Golden Grove has just opened up their brand new club room facilities. It's massive down there, it's looking great, all brand new. So really exciting for Golden Grove to get to play in front of a crowd that would have been there enjoying those new buildings. Now Golden Grove unfortunately were coming off the double bye, so they had the bye before the long weekend. So not the best preparation for them, but just a bit unlucky with how the draw fell. And it was a bit of a domination by Payneham up at Golden Grove. 14 goals, 589, defeating Golden Grove 3-2-20, which was a 69-point win. And the damage really was done in the first quarter where Payneham kicked a huge 7 goals too. Now Payneham were led by an awesome performance from Letitia Ackland. She kicked 6 goals, had an absolute day out, and was well supported by Sophia Falco and Chloe Samuel, who kicked 2 goals each, with singles to Steph Gibson, Kristen Gadecki, Leah Khalifa and Abby Claby. Now this is the second time for the season that Payneham has kicked 14 goals in a game, and they were really accurate with only the 5 points. So Payneham seem to be really hitting their straps at the moment, and their best on ground was Leah Khalifa. Moving on to Golden Grove, and their goals came from Sophie Bevis, Isla Leikoinen and Emma Lovell. Their best on ground was Alexis Cook, who is a long-term Golden Grove player. She's played there since 2017, so good to see her putting in a nice performance in front of her home crowd. Now Payneham, well, they've only dropped the 1 game for the season, and that loss was by 3 points. So they're doing really well. They'll be sitting really nicely. Now, they go into the bye this weekend, and I think they'll be really happy with where they're sitting. They're in a really healthy spot. And again, another chance to just get a few players right if they're carrying any injuries. Golden Grove, well, unfortunately, it wasn't their day, but as I said, they did have that rough draw with the old double bye. And, they're still learning, finding their feet in Division 1. And let's be real, guys, Division 1 is hard and it's a really big step up, but they're doing their absolute best, putting in a great effort every week. And in the end, this game probably really was the expected result, with Payneham taking home the strong win. Now, moving on to our next game, and Morphettville hosted the Henley Sharks at Kellett Reserve, with Henley claiming victory by 13 points. Henley 3-14-32 defeated Morphettville Park 3-1-19. It was almost a repeat of the round 2 performance, where Henley kicked 3 goals 7 to 2 goals 5. Now, for some reason, it seems that they just can't crack past that 3-goal mark when they're playing Morphettville Park. But we're going to have to talk about that accuracy, because 3 goals, 14, 17 scoring shots. Really, this should have been probably a 10+ goal win to the Henley Sharks. Really could have put this beyond doubt. But we think about what this shows. It shows domination via possession by Henley. The sheer numbers of inside 50s they must have been getting. And they did kick no goals after half time, just 11 points. So things like that can tend to keep your opposition in it, make them feel like they're still in the game. So I think maybe a little bit of kicking practice for the Henley Sharks this week at training. But obviously they'll be really happy with the win. Nice solid one there over Morphettville Park. Now, Morphettville Park, they were held scoreless in the first quarter, and as I said, due to the kicking, it could have been a lot worse. They did their best to stay in it, and their backline would have been under immense pressure with all those inside 50s. Now, let's have a look at the goal kickers. For Henley, it was Tamsin Fegert, Tegan Fry and Kayla Robran all kicking goals, with their best player, Tegan Fry. For Morphettville Park, 2 goals to Katie Murdoch and 1 to Caitlin Swanson. Their best was Megan Harper. Now, Morphettville Park, they've still only got their 2 wins after winning the grand final last year. Now, when we think about it, they are a very different side. They're adjusting to their ins and outs from the season, and they have lost a fair few players from that grand final side. But I did see that they had their mid-year ball on the weekend, so I hope everyone had a good night at that. For Henley, they're carrying on their winning ways. They're sitting on 4 wins in a row at the moment, and very nicely on the ladder with 7 wins and just the 1 loss. Now, if they can just sort out their kicking, they could really be unstoppable. You think about it, 17 scoring shots in a game, you start kicking more goals, other teams will start to get worried. Now, looking to the final game of the round in Division 1, it was a bit of a one-sided affair at Goodwood, with Goodwood 9-17-71 defeating Smosh 2-3-15, so a 56-point win to Goodwood. But another team there that might need some kicking practice. That is a huge 26 scoring shots, and if anything, Goodwood really should have cracked the 100-point mark there on their final score. Not really ideal, but a win's a win, and I guess you're coming off a bye, might be a little bit rusty with that goal kicking. And Goodwood, they got their 6th win for the year. They led all day and piled on a nice 3 goals 4 in the last term. So a really strong finish from Goodwood there. What was also awesome to see was that Goodwood Saints Football Club celebrated Pride Round on the weekend, and they had the most fabulous Guernseys, all the colours there of the Pride flag, integrated it with their Saints logos, and it just looked great. So I would check it out on social media. I saw some really great footage of the team running through a rainbow banner, and just really positive vibes down there at Goodwood. Now, speaking of amazing, Emma White for the Goodwood Saints, she kicked 5 goals, so had an absolute day out. She was supported by Briella Egberts kicking 2 goals, and singles to Shannon Thompson and Corey Webb. Their best on was Jazzy Andre, a Goodwood Saints junior, 1 club player, premiership player. Must have been a good week for club players at all of our different clubs. For Smosh, well, it was a bit of an Astrid Gooley show. She kicked 2 goals and was the best on ground. She is just an absolute class act. We've seen her work down at the Woodville West Torrens Eagles, and I think she'll be a good leader down there for Smosh, and I think she can really bring that team together. They still are yet to record a win for the season, but they just keep battling. And as I said, they've got some good leaders down there, like the likes of Astrid Gooley, and I really hope to see them get a win before the end of the season. In a real positive note for things happening down at Smosh, they raised a heap of money for MND with a big freeze event in the last few weeks. I had a look at their socials. There was dress-ups, there was dunkings, there was slip and slides. It was all happening down there. Now, they had a target to raise $4,000, and if they did, their reserves coach, Cutsy, was going to shave off his immaculate beard, which I can imagine he has spent many years curating. Well, they absolutely smashed the target, raising over $6,500 for MND. So the beard had to go, and it looked like they had some great events down there. So well done, Smosh, for getting behind such an awesome cause. Having a quick look at the ladder, well, it's a bit of a battle between Henley and Payneham at the top of the ladder. They both sit on 7 wins and 1 loss, and their percentage is very close. Henley just edging out Payneham at the moment. Then we have Goodwood really in touch there in 3rd position with 6 wins and just the 2 losses. Also very close there in percentage as well. So I think the battle for those top 2 spots is going to absolutely heat up as we move towards the end of the season. Then we have Golden Grove in 4th position with their 3 wins. I think they're really trying to keep in touch with that top 4 spot, so they'll be looking to get a couple more wins in the next few weeks. Then the ladder's rounded out by Broadview, Morphettville Park and Smosh. Looking to next week's fixtures, well, Broadview and Smosh will face off Henley and Golden Grove, and Goodwood Saints and Morphettville Park. So we'll be back here next week to see how those all went. Now let's have a quick look around the divisions. And starting off with Division 2, well, Hectorville pulled off a massive turnaround against one of the ladder leaders in Hope Valley. Now back in round 2, Hectorville lost by 48 points to Hope Valley and only kicked 1 goal 3. This week, they turned it around to defeat Hope Valley by 23 points, a massive 71 point turnaround. They now sit in 4th with 6 wins and 3 losses. So awesome job there by Hectorville just to get the job done. In Division 3, well, I've talked about it all across Division 1, that accuracy is key. Well, I had a look at Eastern Park's score in Division 3, and they kicked 8 goals 1. Now, that's the kind of accuracy I'm looking for, and I'm sure TJ is as well. He's always talking about it with the men as well. So they kicked 8 goals 1 to defeat Pulteney. So they managed to win when they had less scoring shots. Pulteney actually had 12 scoring shots. So like I said, accuracy is key. In Division 4, Modbury extended their lead at the top of the ladder in Division 4. They sit 8-1 with a 31-point win over Fitzroy. And you know what? That score would have looked absolutely beautiful in their brand new Sportal scoreboard that was installed down at Modbury this week. They would have loved seeing that big score up there on the big screen. Now, in Division 5, we had the top 2 clash between Athelston and Salisbury, as well as the battle of the shootout queens of Division 5, Natalie Lohman and Jamie Lee Sonneman. Now, the Raggies, well, they came out on top with a 7 goals for 46 to 5-1-31 win. Now, they sit 9-0 at the top of the ladder. I don't know what's going on at the Raggies, but I want to be part of it because 9-0, Natalie Lohman, she's kicked 3 goals, 31 for the season. She is absolutely on fire in Division 5. Now into Division 6. Now, if you thought you saw a good show last night from Joel Amati at the Sydney Swans kicking his 9 goals versus the Crows, let me take you to Division 6 at Houghton where they played Smithfield, because Houghton captain Taylor Ralph, well, she kicked 10 goals, 10 out of 10. Take that, Joel Amati, because Taylor's coming for you. She's kicked 10. That is absolutely huge. So well done to Taylor, and keep kicking those goals. And she has got 31 for the season. Well, that's all from me from around the divisions as well as our Division 1 wrap. Thanks for tuning in, and come back next week for all your women's footy results.
Time for the Farmers League Coach of the Week, and it comes to us from Division 7. Look no further than that man from O'Sullivan's Beach, Lonsdale, Michael Dean. Now, Michael has been a stalwart. The Dean name is synonymous with O'Sullivan's Beach, Lonsdale. He's returned to the club last year, and he's made a lot of changes. They are a force to be reckoned with, and this year they sit atop undefeated, coming up for another 160-point win on the weekend. Congratulations, Michael Dean, on what you're doing at the club. An outstanding achievement. You are our Farmers League Coach of the Week. Post. Well, the fans, they wanted more. They wanted Div 4. So here today, it's double K. How about that, eh?
That was pretty neat there. So Division 4, as you can see, the ladder, it's shaping up very nicely. For me personally, I feel like almost 1 to 6th. That's the finals teams for me.
So 7 through to 10 can't make it? You're line through them?
I'm not putting a full line through them, but I think
pencil line.
A pencil
yeah,
line. I'll accept a pencil line. And we just had no more undefeated teams. Kilburn lost to Plimpton, which is very interesting. Which
they smashed them, didn't they?
They absolutely thumped them. So very interesting. Going at the form tracker, as I've called it, the last 5 games, and we'll work from the bottom of the ladder all the way to the top. So Gazer, their last 5 are 0-5. There've definitely been some signs of improvements the last 2 weeks. They haven't been thumped by that 150 points, which is a very good sign. But obviously, it doesn't get much easier next week travelling to Kilburn.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Just want a big shout out Gazer as well. New coach Chucky Greer has taken over as the coach there. Lifelong stalwart of the club, great man, and we wish Chuck all the best in guiding them for the rest of the season. Hopefully onwards and upwards for the Eagles.
Definitely. Next we go to Walkerville, who are also 0-5 in their last 5 games. It seems to be a little bit of a form slump, TJ, and definitely they'd be wanting to start to turn their season around, which can start next week against Kenilworth. So hopefully, for their sake, they can get a win on the board. I
should do my research, and I haven't. Walkerville currently in the relegation zone. I don't recall, when I played for Walkies in the 90s, I don't recall them ever being in Division 5. Come on, Cats.
Scary times.
Yeah.
Now, up to the 8th position, Jeps Cross. So their last 5, TJ, 2-3.
Yeah, not bad.
And I don't know if you recall this, but last time I said that Jeps Cross, I said
yes,
it didn't feel like they should be in the position of the ladder that they were. And this very interesting stat that I found shows this. So combining all of their losses, we're not going to include their 125-point loss to Plimpton. Jeps Cross have an average losing margin of 14.83 points, which further shows that I don't think they're as bad as the ladder states. 2 wins on the trot now in a row. They'll be looking to have some second season form, and never know what can happen, can you?
Beautiful stats there. 14.83. That's specific.
And then we move up to the 7th position, Paraka. Last 5, 2-3. They've had a bit of a topsy-turvy start to the season, but good early wins against Morphees and a huge scoring win against Jeps Cross, where there was a combined of 33 goals between them. There's definitely some upside for this team, and definitely thing to look out for going forward. Moving up to the 6th position, Westminster Old Scholars. Their last 5 is 3-2. Definitely put their season back on track with an outstanding win, might I add, against the Hounds away from home. A very gutsy win. I still think they're still in reach of finals, but they have a very, very big test against Plimpton at home, which they pull that off. That could be huge.
That'll move him into the 5, wouldn't it?
It would.
Yeah.
It would, in fact. Then we move up to Hectorville. Their last 5, 2 and 3. So they were looking very, very good start of the season. So maybe you could call it a form slump. But we definitely know that their best footy is by far good enough. I mean, if you're able to go toe-to-toe with the likes of Plympton and Kilburn, you know your good footy is good. Then moving up, Morphettville Park. Their last 5, 4 and 1.
Yep.
How about that? So they're starting to really kick into gear, I believe, and they're starting to hit some form. Seems to know they know how to close out close games. They showed this against both Heckies, Walkerville, and Westminster, where they won all of those games by 10 points or less. So showing that late in a game they can close that out. Third position, Kenilworth. Their last 5, 3 and 2. Sitting very nicely on the 3rd place, but will definitely be very bitter about that Kilburn game a few weeks ago. Well, they were up by 14 points going into the last. They couldn't hang on, but if you're sitting 3rd, you're obviously doing something right.
Looking at 3rd and 4th as well with Kenilworth and Morphy Park, they're 2 very unique grounds. Of course, Kenilworth being the biggest and Morphy Park, the roos being shaped like a pasty. You think if they could get a home final, they'd probably win it. So yeah, it's crucial, isn't it? It's crucial, these positional changes.
Definitely. Now, the most on-fire team, I think, Plympton, which they're just in cracking form. The biggest percentage in the league. Amazing wins against both Kilburn, which will definitely, I think, if they do play each other late in finals, that's just that little mental edge which a team really needs come the back end. But they definitely, it feels like they know how to put their opponents away. And then finally, the league leaders, Kilburn, with the 4 and 1 for their last 5. With their winless streak, it came to an end finally, but still, what a year has it been for Kilburn, newly promoted and at the top of the table at round 9, which is something they should be extremely proud of, but they definitely know that this is not just it. They're going to be on top at round 9. They're going to want more, and I believe they have the skills to do so. So their wins against Kenilworth and Hectorville show that they're able to close out games, which is obviously a fantastic trait to have. So I'm very keen to see what the Kilburn boys have later on in the second half of the year.
It's a beautiful snapshot in round 9, isn't it? But and we think we know what we know, but obviously the hot dogs of Plympton against the Chicks looks like might be our last game in September, but you just don't know, do you? 'Cause
you do never know.
Yeah. And finals form, you get momentum up, anything can happen. We've seen, unlike in the SAMFL, you don't see it that often, or the AFL, it's rare. In local footy, you can see a team come from the elimination final all the way through.
Most definitely. We're going to move on to the home and away stat. I loved this stat last time, and I expressed how much I enjoyed it. I find it very interesting. If there is a home advantage, do you think there's a home advantage?
I'm just stuck on you saying home and away stat because I just went to a different place where I remember Ben Cousins saying he watched home and away every night when he was when he had time to watch it. We'll just say that. But no, yes, it is fascinating, and I've always felt home and away is a bigger advantage in local footy than it is in professional football.
I can agree. Well, I have some stats for you. So
don't make me look stupid, please.
the 45 games which have been played. The 25 out of the 45 were won at home, showing that the percentage is 55.5. Yep. So there you go. So
definitely
the home
an
team
advantage.
Easily to see. And this also showcases that why a home final is so crucial and important come at the back end of the year.
Yep.
So then we move on to the team with the largest points average this season. Could you take a random punt at who that would be, TJ?
It would be the Bulldogs from the Red Dogs of Plympton, wouldn't it?
It would be the Dogs. And their average is 127.7. So when you're putting those scoreboards up each game, you don't often lose.
No.
So yeah, definitely showcasing that ability that they can score and they are a threat going forward. Now we move on to the snag kickers, the goal kickers. We've got tied first place with Corey Sully from Kilburn with 38 and Jack Goodman-Glasson from Hectorville, both with 38. In third place is Zach Peake from Kenilworth with 35. Do you think this is a 3-horse race?
Yeah, absolutely. I assume the goal kicking award finishes at round 18, but
you'd think so, wouldn't you?
But they're all going to get. It's a matter of who's going to kick one big bag, I think. against, look, no disrespect, maybe Gazer. Does someone kick a 12 to a 15 goal game? That might be enough to set them over the line.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's what I've put here, that the next person in line has 25 goals, but we've seen that in this competition there can be very heavily goals scored. So you never know. You do never know. And finally, next week, it's a big round. I'm very keen to see if Westminster Old Scholars can take it to a very good Plimpton. I'm not sure if they can, but I would love to see the Dragons on home soil pull through. And my big risky tip for next week, my tip is that Jeps Cross get it done against Hectorville.
Wow, that's a huge upset. That would be horrible news for Walkerville. It would set Jeps Cross plenty out of the relegation zone and bring Hectorville out of that probably grand final talk for sure. So now your mate at Westminster, what's his name again?
Bubba, Charlie Sanderson.
Bubba, so it's a big one for Bubba this week.
It's a big one for Bubba this week, TJ.
I just like saying Bubba. Oh, fantastic, mate. That's beautiful. What else you got for us? Is that it?
That is it for my Division 4.
Well, that was a beautiful deep dive into Division 4. So can we just flick back to the page where you've got the ladder? Yep. Obviously, Hugo always supports us in this. So that Jeps Cross win, if they do cause this upset, wowee. And looking at the percentage, Walkerville need to find a way to, and I'm not sure they can. So it really does make interesting and really good call by you earlier this year. We own our success and failures on this show. You're the one that said when Jeps Cross are 0-4, 0-5, they don't feel like an 0-4 team. So they've actually made you look really good. So,
maybe look smart, but yeah.
Great insight there, Kalan. Fantastic work. And we'll see you again just before finals, won't we?
Thank you very much, TJ. Hope so.
Stay tuned. We'll be back after these sponsorship messages.
You belong in blue. Apply for a career with South Australia Police.
It's that time again. It's time for the goals and marks of the week.
It's on to Shane Harvey. He'll put it inside 50 pretty deep. Bombers have a man on the outside. That's McEnany, who's managed to slot it.
Do get the free kick. Long high kick. Big fly from the back. Beautifully marked.
between the posts, and it's one of my favourite segments. It's time for What Caught Our Eye. How about those effects? All right, mate, so we're going to start at 7 this week. Again, I haven't conferred with you. I love to see how we align with this, but what caught your eye in Div 7?
So Daniel Wheatra, I hope I am saying that correctly, from Para Hills. He just keeps bagging in these snags. 9 again last week, and now he's at 81 goals for the season. So if he keeps going on this pace, just a quiet season from his standards of 153 goals. It could be on the cards. So
you do love your percentages, yeah. Have talked about him a bit, and it's hard not to have him catch your eye. 2 goals a game will probably get him there from now on. What caught my eye in Division 7 was OSB Lonsdale, again, going from strength to strength, 160-point win, still undefeated. Rigney kicking 11, the other spearhead in the league. So again, the OSB Lonsdale Parry Hills matchup that is imminent, you'd think, in grand final, does excite us. All right, I'll go to Div 6, and for Eastern Park it was Mansell kicking 13. Now, next week we've got the return of what started all the shenanigans on the internet, and Eastern Park take on Elizabeth again. Of course, the 55-goal round 1 game, which started all the talk. But for me in Div 6, I think the top 5 is set. Salisbury, Eastern Park, Fitzroy, the Farmers and St Paul's appear to be the best 5 sides and will contest the finals. So tell me what caught your eye in Division 6, mate?
So Division 6, for me, it has to be the battle of percentage that is taking place with Salisbury and Eastern Park. Obviously, Salisbury are above Eastern Park at the moment, but only 0.03 separates their percentages, 75.61 and 75.58. How about that for tight?
You play in Division 5, mate, so please give us some Division 5 insight.
Okay, so this caught my eye. I got to witness it first, so maybe a little bit of bias coming through. But Mitchell Obbs, the man from Kernelite Gardens, a quiet day out with 41 touches and 6 goals. If I was having a fantasy team, 100% I would want him captain this week.
Is it true he's somewhat of a homunculus? Do you know what a homunculus is?
I cannot say.
A homunculus is a nearly perfectly formed tiny human.
Possibly.
Hey, 41 and 6, Mitch. We're allowed to make fun of you. That's good stuff, isn't it? You can use that. Look, mate, your game obviously caught my eye as well. Knowing you're in the studio. 38-16, 244, West Croydon 3-6-24. 220-point win. Kalan Knox kicking no goals. But undefeated, mate, and what a great position to be in.
It is, isn't it?
Yep. Div 4, mate, what do you got?
So obviously I talked about it a little bit on my segment, but I was very much impressed by Westminster Old Scholars winning against the Hounds away from home, which I think shows very big character and a big thing for them mentally.
Yeah, obviously, Bubba playing a big role. For me, it was Kilburn's first loss. Plimpton 18-13, 123. Actually brained the Chicks, really. An undefeated team, 8-6-54. Pete kicked 4 and Bailey best on ground. We thought it was going to be all Kilburn, but the Red Dogs have just started barking nicely. Division 3, mate, I'm going to leave this one off because just a quick one. We've talked a lot with Timmy Pillion about Seaton having that run home with all those home games and how they should come home with the Thunder. But interesting to see they did lose in both games, and Lockleys too good for them by 31 points away from home. So a big win there for the Lockleys Demons. But the main thing that caught everyone's eye, I think, huge congratulations, and across our pages. And YouTube, you'll see a great story of the Parham brothers. 1,000 combined games between them for Smosh West Lakes. That is an outstanding effort from the 3 boys. Well done, you're stars of the St Michael's Old Scholars, and you should be very proud of your efforts.
My Division 3, it was a little bit different, but the Scotch Old Scholars being down at half-time by 25 points and then clawing their way back into the game in the third quarter and end up getting the chocolates by 6 points against CBC.
Oh, you go like that one. Bit of a fist pump back there.
I wonder why.
Div 2?
Div 2, I've got that there's only a 3-game differential from 3rd to 9th, which shows me how close this division is, and those 5 final spots are going to be agonisingly close.
Yep. Now, in Division 2, I've actually gone a little bit different, a bit like the Parham stat. I've gone to Div 2 reserves where an absolute bloody legend has played his 400th game. Congratulations to Damien McBride. This man does everything. He coaches the reserves, he plays the reserves, he's an A-grade assistant, he was the club coach coordinator, he's a junior director. If you want to know Salisbury North things, you speak to Macca, and he's been there fronting up every Saturday every Sunday for as long as I've known him. He's a former Central Districts junior coach, undefeated I might add. Father of, I think, about 5. He's an absolute superstar. 400 games, mate. He will forever be a club legend at Salisbury North. Division 1.
Division 1. So I was tossing and turning. There's the obvious one, Clanunga 9-0. But I've gone for a bit of a rogue shout. So Jack Trenorden, he was a shining light in that PA, Prince Alfred, not PAC, Sacred Heart game. He had a shot from the pocket, Dom Sheed-esque, if I want to say. And I turned to Vince and I said, Vince, would you be going the left foot snap, the right foot banana? Like, what are you going to do? Jack Trenorden just says, stuff ya, I'll go the drop punt and slots it from the tightest of angles. A big shout out to you, Jack Trenorden.
In a 10-goal loss, but nonetheless.
I know, but a shining light in the dark.
Hey, and this is why we do What Caught Our Eye. There's so many great stories. For me, again, the unthinkable has happened. 9th and 10th on the ladder in Division 1 have both won. 9th place beating 4th place, that's Golden Grove over Teachery Gully by a couple of points. And 10th place Spock. 10th place Spock beat Port District. Again, Port District, and look, pre-season talk doesn't count for much. It's a bit like dancing with your sister, really. But Port District, people were saying they weren't going to lose a game. Well done to Spock, well done to Golden Grove. They not just keep their relegation battle alive, but the closest to the league, they have a chance to play finals. Mate, you've been outstanding in What Caught Our Eye. We'll be back after this quick commercial. Time to say goodbye on Between the Posts. First thing I want to do is thank our great sponsors. There are so many wonderful sponsors that allow us to do this and get your local footy club on the TV, and I can't do it without my expert support. Have you had fun today, mate?
TJ, the most fun, as always.
Excellent. Your Div 4 analytics were just outstanding. You deep dive right in. For anyone that's in Div 4, I'm sure they really enjoyed that. But you love your footy, mate. Undefeated Lions. Where are you this week?
We're at Portland, playing Portland, obviously.
Yep.
Big ground, I've heard. I haven't played there before, but I've heard it's a big ground. So for me, a lot of uncontested possessions, which will be an absolute delight. Yeah, no worries. With the Portland ground, if you haven't played there before, now you play on the wing, so it's not too bad for you. But if you're stuck at the club room end, plenty of feedback from the locals you tend to get. Always good fun, no doubt, out at the Power. Of course, this final segment, the close, is brought to us by SAPOL. We thank them for their support as well. Great job on the commentary as well, mate. You've been just simply outstanding. Next time we see you, both Colonel Light Gardens and Division 4 will be right, ready to play some finals, and it's going to be an exciting time. Very exciting times, won't they?
Of course, don't forget as well, just finally, Team of the Half Year will be announced, so watch out for that one. Thanks very much for tuning in. You've been watching Between the Posts.